Hello everybody, my name is Daulton Nelson and today I'd like to talk about a game I just beat, that game being Pikmin 2 for the Nintendo Wii. Pikmin 2 was developed by Nintendo Entertainment, Analysis and Development, it was published by Nintendo, and it is a 3D top-down isometric real-time strategy. 2001's Pikmin on GameCube by Nintendo EAD is a widely loved classic real-time strategy, or RTS game at this point. It's a game known for its adorable carrot-like rainbow creatures, its item collection, and its reliance on player time management as a skill. I was introduced to the game on the Wii in my high school years, and was hooked. I liked running through that game and getting multiple tasks done in an in-game day. And at the time, I knew the game's sequel, Pikmin 2, existed, and wanted to play that one as well. However, I didn't have what was necessary to get either the Wii or GameCube versions. Fast forward to this past Christmas, and I finally was able to get my hands on 2 and its sequel Pikmin 3. And so for the past month I've been chipping away at 2, and now I've beaten it, and am able to give my thoughts on how the sequel was able to expand and add upon the original, while also not quite reaching its fullest potential. Starting with the story, Pikmin 2 starts off right after the first, where Captain Olimar gets back to his home planet, only to find that the company he works for has amassed a huge debt. This debt is so huge that pretty much everything has been taken away from the company, including the ship Olimar used in his last adventure. However, a spoil Olimar has collected from said adventure slips out into the open and is quickly evaluated by another run-down ship that has an advanced AI. This item turns out to be worth a lot, so the president of this company hurries Olimar and the rookie Louie onto this new ship, so that they can go back to the Pikmin planet to collect items to pay off this debt. From here, the two captains work together with Pikmin in order to pay off this debt. It's from here where we are introduced to our first new major mechanic, having two captains to control. This dual captain mechanic has the player switching between Olimar and Louie on the fly. Each captain can lead their own horde of Pikmin to accomplish tasks. The designers of Pikmin 2 also throw in a few moments here and there where you'll have to use both captains to complete one singular task, like dividing the weight of Pikmin to get a captain onto a higher plane, or distracting an enemy with one captain so that the other can get behind it and attacks its weak side. Overall, I thought this dual captain mechanic was a neat one, but I don't feel like it defined the game enough. I wish the game utilized it in more situations, as right now it feels more like an afterthought. The next notable thing Pikmin 2 has to offer is a change in its treasures. The treasures this time around are all based around real-world objects, so things like batteries, toys, food, tools, and other such items can be collected within the game. What's more immersive is that some of these items are based off of real-world branded items. For example, the first item you collect in the game is a Duracell battery. There is a wide array of brands seen in 2, which some might write off as blatant product placement, but I really like this decision as it takes the small person in a large world concept of the first game and really brings that to the next level by having real-world branded items in the game. Speaking of which, another big addition to the game is the inclusion of these dungeons the captains can go through in order to get larger amounts of treasure. These dungeons take the form of these anthill-like holes in the ground that you can find as you move through the levels in the game. You can walk up and enter the dungeon with Pikmin whenever you want. The settings of the dungeons take the large world concept I was talking about earlier and expand that even further, as these settings take on more specific concepts like a garden, or a shower room, or a pipe system, etc., etc. What these dungeons consist of is multi-floored, small levels where you go around fighting tough monsters and finding the treasures located on that floor. There is no increasing of Pikmin numbers in these dungeons, so every Pikmin death you take in these make the dungeons that much harder. And it should be noted, these dungeons are the hardest aspect of Pikmin 2, as they rely on your skill and management techniques a great deal. At the end of the dungeon, you fight a boss, akin to those found within the first Pikmin. Beat these, and you can get the last treasure of the dungeon. These items you get from these bosses aren't as monetarily valuable as other items you might find within the same dungeon, which is a real bummer. However, these items will also give you some sort of added functionality to the game. Like, it can offer a character upgrade like faster movement, or resistance to damage, or it can give you a game upgrade, like a scanner to tell you how close an item is, or additional modes to play. So I think this helpful item functionality offsets its cheap quality a bit. As for the dungeons themselves, I really like what they brought to Pikmin 2. They're like these challenges you can choose to tackle, and if are conquered, reward you greatly. Compare these dungeons to the main 4 levels you can explore, and they become even more interesting. These main levels just aren't that interesting to me, especially their setting, which are all supposed to represent the 4 seasons, but they end up all bleeding into each other to become non-distinctive. Now, the biggest addition to Pikmin from a regular player's perspective is going to be the new types of Pikmin that can be used. There are 2 main new types of Pikmin: Purple Pikmin and White Pikmin. Purple Pikmin can carry 10 times their weight, so they're great for really heavy items. They also weigh more, so throwing them onto the ground next to enemies can stun the target. However, they also move a lot slower as a result. White Pikmin are resistant to poison, and can dig up hidden objects you can't see. White Pikmin can also be thrown over longer distances, and when eaten, they will inflict poison damage. Both of these Pikmin can only be found by going into dungeons and finding their colored flower. Throwing other colored Pikmin into the flower will return a newborn Pikmin of that flower color. I get why the designers of Pikmin 2 chose this method of obtaining these specialized Pikmin, as having more onions in the starting area would clutter the game a bit, and having too much of the new Pikmin types could make the game easier, but I wish they went about getting these new Pikmin in an easier way, especially since you don't get a lot of them. As it stands, you can only get 5 Pikmin from a flower, and you can only use that flower twice in a day, and getting to the flower can take a lot of time. So it's really frustrating if you're not that good at the game, and lose a lot of white Pikmin immediately, for example. Then you have to spend a lot of time and effort to get more. Staying on the topic of the Pikmin, I noticed how the Pikmin have better AI this time around. They're able to follow you around a lot more reliably. They do such things as thin out their formation on bridges, and pathfind their way around a corner if they hit a wall. There are still some kinks in the system, but overall I love these improvements. There is also some subtle audio additions to the game, like the Pikmin singing the main theme of the series, or enemies making little noises when they aggro onto you. I don't remember audio being such a big point of the first game, so it's really cool to hear what Nintendo has done with it within 2. There are also these berries you can collect which make these cool sprays that can either make your Pikmin's attack stronger, or freeze the enemy in stone. As mentioned earlier, the goal of Pikmin 2 is lowering a monetary debt to 0, so each treasure you collect contributes to that. The development team this time around took out the time element that was in the first game, so time doesn't really factor into Pikmin 2 except for the day you spend within a level. This way, if you found 2001's Pikmin stressful, then 2 will be more of a walk in the park, as you can pace yourself how you want to. I've seen this aspect of the game in a positive light for the majority of players, but for me, I felt as if taking out the ticking clock element actually hurt the game's pacing quite a bit, which I know is an unpopular opinion. Pikmin 2 as a whole just doesn't feel like it has the stakes that the first game brought. There doesn't even seem to be a challenge of completing the game in a certain amount of days, so I was disappointed in that way. However, because there isn't a hurry to escape the Pikmin planet in this game, once the game ends, there is actually more things you can do, like a new area to explore, and all those dungeons you didn't get to. I like this quite a lot. I also like the inclusion of a bestiary and treasure database where you can read Olimar's notes on a particular object or enemy. And outside of the main mode of the game are 2-player modes and extras, so you can continue to experience the game for a good while, which I think will help the game win your heart over in the end. As for me, I really enjoyed Pikmin 2 despite its weaker aspects, so I'm going to give it a final score of a 7 out of 10. If the dual captain mechanic was utilized more, and the main levels had more to them, and there was some sort of ticking clock element within the game, I think I would have liked Pikmin 2 a lot more. But aside from those things, Pikmin 2 is still a very good sequel, so play it if you liked the first Pikmin and are looking for more. That concludes my review for Pikmin 2. If you like my reviews, you can like, comment, or subscribe. I also have social media links down in the description below, as well as a link to my online portfolio where you can see video game design works that I have done. And with that out of the way, please make sure to have a great day.